It's time to get the expats' perspective on things. As always on Friday, we're in the expat-friendly John Don pub, talking to the locals and not so locals about the week's top stories for them. Our man Ivor Bennett is in the pub at the moment. Ivor, what's happening? Who are you talking to?
Hi there, Anya. Plenty of things to talk about today. Obviously, the weather, again, a big issue. Today was the first time I've worn a coat in about 4 months, actually. Very, very strange. And here to talk about it, I've got Richard with me. Hi there, Richard. You've been on the show before, right?
Say again?
You've been on the show before, haven't you?
Yeah, about 3 or 4 months ago I was here, yeah.
How's your summer been?
Well, I had a nice summer. I had to go back to England in July as part of the new visa regulations, so I had an enforced stay in London, and I came back 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
So you missed the bulk of the heat wave then?
I missed the heat wave. I got 2 weeks of the smoke and the sun, so I had some idea of it, but I missed most of it, yeah.
How did you think Moscow coped with it? How did you cope with it?
Well, more importantly, I think, is how I thought Moscow coped with it, coming back from London. What struck me was, when on a crowded metro or on a crowded tram bus, was people seem to be so very civilized and calm. I just comparing it with London, I can imagine if it's 40 degrees and the smoke, people losing their tempers much more, but everyone seemed to be very civilized about it.
Definitely.
I was very impressed, very impressed.
I think I was very civilised at home, but how did you find today, though? Is it cold?
Oh, I thought today was fantastic. A little bit of chill. It was such a relief. Everyone I knew I was talking to, everyone was so relieved about it.
Do you miss the sun, though?
Well, I do like the sun, but after 40 degrees, I think it's probably enough. Also, a nice thing I like, I don't know if people are aware of this, and it's the same in England, that with all the masks that people put on, and I think just people panic about, about this ecological disaster, and it's the same in England. All the evidence I've got is it doesn't really help, and people look such wallies in them, and when they got gas masks on, it's just...
It's like World War III almost.
Yes, it is. And one more thing about the weather. I was very impressed when I came back and I saw the story. I think was it this week? About politicians pontificate whenever there's a problem. A politician actually doing something practical. I thought it was magnificent. Vladimir Putin, instead of sort of giving a speech about how terrible it was for the people, actually getting in a plane and actually helping spray the water.
But the problem was he almost made a mistake, though. The water almost didn't fall on the fire.
A good point, but I thought it was a great example of something...
Not just a PR stunt.
Exactly. Well, I thought it was great at doing something practical. That was my view.
Fair enough. Moving on then, what else has caught your attention this week?
The football story about
FIFA in town, expecting Russia's bid for the World Cup 2018. What do you think of it?
Well, I'm a football fan. I've been a Chelsea fan all my life, and until 6 years ago when I came to Moscow, I used to go and watch Chelsea. Yes, I mean, I'd love Russia to get it.
Do you think they will? Is it better than England's bid, more importantly?
Well, I think it's Russia's turn. I mean, England has had it, and England had Euro. All Moscow has had is they've had one European Champions League final. And I mean, there's the interest in football over here. It's a little bit like England, although there's hockey as well. People overdose on football, and I think Moscow deserves it. I think
Do you think they have the stadiums?
Yeah, I mean, I've been to some of the stadiums. I was at the Luzhniki for the final between Chelsea and Manchester United. I mean, that was one example to me of good organisation. They organise it supremely well. I know there's this thing about the visas, waiving the visas.
Which they did similarly for that final, right? A ticket served as a visa. And for the World Cup, what do they plan to do?
Yeah, good point. It was like a one-day turnaround, and it worked like clockwork. The fans came in, the fans came out. So I think it would be fantastic. And although I'm an Englishman, and if Moscow didn't get it, it'd be great for England to get it. I think it is Moscow's turn. And the interest in football here, I mean, I get one of the Moscow papers every day, and again, any football story. So yeah, I think Moscow should get it for sure.
Fair enough. And finally, something I want to talk about with you. Alcohol this week's been a big story. Moscow's up their nighttime ban of strong liquor from 10 p.m. till 10 a.m. You can't get hold of any strong liquor. What do you think about that?
Based on my experience in Moscow, my view would be it's probably a good idea. But again, one of the differences in Moscow certainly compared to London and some cities back in London, I'm generalising now. Generally, people here like a drink. People in London like
Absolutely.
a drink. But unlike in London, there's much less yob culture here. Young people get drunk here, but it doesn't mean they want to start fighting each other. Whereas in London, where I used to live in southeast London, if young people got drunk, sometimes it meant a fight. So, okay, this is a good idea, but
you think it's more applicable in London?
I think it would be much more applicable in London than here. One of the first things I noticed when I came to Moscow, men drinking in the corners on the street, getting drunk. But again, you could sense the atmosphere. There was no danger that someone was going to get hold of you and give you a good hiding. So, good idea, but maybe more applicable in other cities in the world.
Okay, fair enough. Thanks very much. And I see you're drinking orange juice there, so you're heeding the government
regulations. Yes.
Great. Thanks very much, Richard. Pleasure to talk to you again. Back to you, Anya.
Thank you very much, Ivor. It's really nice seeing Richard again. I remember him. He's a brilliant dancer as well. Make sure you say hello. Ivor Bennett,
is indeed.
our man